Have you ever visited a website? Of course you have. Maybe YouTube. Maybe Google. Maybe Instagram. But what if I told you there was another website? A website that police around the world wanted to destroy. A website where millions of dollars changed hands every single day. A website where people bought things that should never have been sold online. And for years, nobody knew who was running it. It sounds impossible, but it really happened. This website was called Silk Road. Some people called it freedom. Others called it the most dangerous website ever created. But before we talk about Silk Road, you need to understand one thing. Most people think the internet is everything they can see. Google, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube. But that's only a very small part of the internet. Hidden behind normal websites, there is another world. A world that most people will never visit. And that's exactly where Silk Road was hiding. In 2011, a young man named Ross Ulbricht had an idea. He believed people should be able to buy and sell anything without anyone controlling them. No banks. No governments. No questions. So he built a secret website. First, almost nobody knew it existed. Only a few people found it. Then those people told their friends. Their friends told more people. And within months, thousands of users were visiting the website every day. Ross probably thought he was building something revolutionary, but he had no idea. He had also started one of the biggest cybercrime investigations in history, because every day, more money arrived, more sellers joined, more buyers appeared, and somewhere, the FBI was starting to notice. But that wasn't the biggest surprise. The biggest surprise was what people were actually buying. And once the FBI discovered it, everything changed forever. So, how do you visit a website that doesn't even appear on Google? That's the first mystery. If you searched Silk Road on Google in 2012, you wouldn't find it. Not because it didn't exist, but because it was hidden. Silk Road lived on a hidden part of the internet, a place that regular search engines couldn't reach. To enter, people needed a special browser called Tor. Think of Tor like a maze. Instead of sending your internet connection directly to a website, it sends it through many different computers around the world. Every stop hides your real location. By the time your request reaches the website, nobody knows where it really came from. For journalists and activists living under strict governments, Tor became a powerful tool for privacy. But criminals quickly realized something else. If it could hide honest people, it could also hide criminals. And that's exactly what happened. Ross Ulbricht saw an opportunity. He created Silk Road inside this hidden network. At first glance, the website looked completely normal. There was a search bar. There were product pictures. There were customer reviews. There were seller ratings. It looked almost like Amazon, but the products were completely different. People weren't shopping for phones or clothes. Instead, the marketplace became known for illegal goods and services, turning it into one of the internet's most infamous underground marketplaces. One strange thing shocked investigators. The website had rules. Yes, even a criminal marketplace had rules. Some categories of harmful content were banned by the site's owner, while many other illegal products were still allowed. Ross believed he was creating a free market. But many people argued that once you create a place where illegal trade can grow, you can't control what happens next. And they were right. Every week, more people joined. Every month, the website became bigger. Soon, thousands of transactions were happening every single day. But there was another question. If nobody used a credit card, how was everyone paying? The answer was something that almost nobody cared about at the time. Bitcoin. Back then, one Bitcoin was worth only a small fraction of what it would become years later. Most people laughed at it. Some even called it internet money. But on Silk Road, Bitcoin became the perfect payment method. It allowed buyers and sellers to transfer money online without using traditional banks. Ross believed this combination of Tor and Bitcoin made the marketplace impossible to stop. For a while, it looked like he was right. Millions of dollars moved through Silk Road. New users arrived every hour. The website continued growing, and the person behind it became more confident than ever. But every digital action leaves behind a tiny clue. Maybe not today. Maybe not tomorrow. But sooner or later, someone notices. And while Ross believed he had built the perfect hidden website, a small team of investigators had already started connecting the dots. They didn't know his name. They didn't know where he lived. But they had one goal: find the man hiding behind the world's most dangerous website. At this point, Silk Road wasn't just a small hidden website anymore. It had become a global marketplace. People from different countries were buying and selling every single day. The money kept growing, and so did the attention. One day, an FBI agent came across a discussion about Silk Road on an online forum. At first, it looked like just another strange website, but the more investigators looked, the more shocking it became. They realized this wasn't a small operation. It was a business making millions of dollars. The biggest problem was nobody knew who owned it. The website was hidden. The users were hidden. Even the server was hidden. It felt impossible. Imagine trying to catch someone without knowing their face, their name, or even what country they're in. That's exactly what the FBI was dealing with. For months, they found almost nothing. Every clue ended in a dead end. Every trail disappeared. Some investigators even started thinking they might never find the person behind Silk Road. But here's something many criminals forget. Nobody is perfect. No matter how careful you are, one small mistake can destroy everything. And Ross made one. Years before Silk Road became famous, Ross wanted people to visit his new website, so he posted about it on an online forum. He wrote a simple message. He invited people to check out a new online marketplace. At that moment, it seemed harmless. But there was one thing he forgot. He used an email address connected to his real identity. Just one mistake. One email. One post. That tiny mistake stayed on the internet for years. While Ross believed nobody would ever notice, FBI investigators kept searching. They checked old websites, old forum posts, old online accounts, thousands and thousands of pages. Most of them led nowhere. Then, someone found that old message. It didn't look important. Just a few lines written by an ordinary user. But when investigators followed the email, everything changed. The pieces finally started fitting together. The mystery was no longer impossible. For the first time, the FBI had a real person to investigate, Ross Ulbricht. But proving he created Silk Road was much harder than finding his name. They needed evidence. Real evidence. Because if they made one mistake, Ross could disappear forever. So instead of arresting him immediately, the FBI made a different decision. They started watching him. Every day. Every movement. Every habit. Without Ross knowing, the countdown had already begun. And what happened next looked like something straight out of a Hollywood movie. The FBI knew one thing. If they arrested the wrong person, the real owner of Silk Road could disappear forever. So they waited. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. Agents quietly watched Ross. They followed his daily routine. Where he went. Where he worked. What he did online. Everything. But they had one big problem. Even if Ross was the owner, they still needed proof. And getting that proof wasn't easy. Why? Because Silk Road was protected by passwords and encryption. If Ross closed his laptop or locked his computer, the evidence could disappear in seconds. The FBI needed to catch him at the perfect moment, with his laptop unlocked. Only then could they prove he was running Silk Road. So they made a plan. A very risky plan. Ross often worked from a public library in San Francisco. He liked sitting there for hours with his laptop. To everyone around him, he looked like a normal young man. Quiet, calm, just another person using free Wi-Fi. Nobody had any idea that the man sitting in front of them was suspected of running one of the world's most famous hidden websites. Then, the day finally came. Several FBI agents entered the library, but they couldn't simply grab Ross. If he closed his laptop, months of investigation could be lost, so they needed a distraction. According to reports, 2 undercover agents started arguing near Ross. The argument became louder. People looked up. Ross looked up too. For just a few seconds, he took his hands off the keyboard. That was the moment. Another agent quickly grabbed the open laptop before it could be closed. At the same time, other agents arrested Ross. The entire operation took only a few seconds. People inside the library were shocked. They had no idea what had just happened. To them, it looked like the police had arrested an ordinary man. But investigators knew They had just captured the person they believed was behind Silk Road. When they looked inside the laptop, they found exactly what they had been searching for. According to prosecutors, the computer contained evidence linking Ross to the operation of Silk Road, including administrator activity and records connected to the website. For the FBI, it was a breakthrough. Years of investigation had finally paid off. But while the world celebrated the end of Silk Road, a much bigger question remained. Had the internet just become safer? Or was this only the beginning of an even bigger problem? Because when one hidden website disappeared, another one quickly appeared, and then another, and another. The story of Silk Road was over, but the story of the dark web was only getting started.